Welcome to the best wrestling podcast in the world. Everything is wrestling. My name is Nick. We have a whole lot to get to today. No hesitation. Let's get right into it. I think without question, the biggest news of the week has been one, Paul Heyman returning to the Bloodline and on SmackDown, and CM Punk showing up on SmackDown and joining the OG Bloodline for WarGames. Two big things happened with there. One, Paul Heyman's back, which is always great to see. It's needed. We've been waiting for it for a very long time. So it's great to see Paul Heyman back. He came back as a surprise. We weren't expecting it. Roman Reigns wasn't expecting it. But it was great to see. And then he came out and made the announcement that he made the call to add the fifth member of the OG Bloodline for WarGames, and that being CM Punk. Woo. And CM Punk went right to the ring, got right to business. We had the 5-on-5 fight at the end of SmackDown. We had the Roman and CM Punk face-off at the end of SmackDown. The GTS spear combo was perfection. The last shot of Paul Heyman standing on the apron with CM Punk on one side, Roman Reigns on the other, was just perfect. I don't like everything about that segment was great. I went to bed super happy. I'm a Roman Reigns guy. I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I'm a CM Punk guy. And then I woke up to every conspiracy theory in the world. Every conspiracy theory you can think of was out and about online by Saturday morning, which was insane. One, why did Paul Heyman come out dressed like Solo? Two, why was Paul Heyman and CM Punk in contact with each other when Roman Reigns couldn't get in contact with Paul? Three, we had the wink to Jimmy from Paul Heyman on the apron. What is that about? When Paul Heyman came out, Roman looked surprised and Jay looked surprised, but Jimmy and Sammy did not look surprised. Interesting. So Survivor Series is building on all this stuff of who may or may not turn from the OG bloodline. You're adding CM Punk into this mix with the history of the Shield and Seth Rollins. I'm sure this is going to lead into even more of a crash out from Seth Rollins with CM Punk and him teaming with Roman Reigns and the OG bloodline, the Usos and Sammy being happy to have CM Punk in the mix. I'm sure this is not going to go over well with Seth Rollins at all. So we had that story with, I think everyone is thinking that we're going to get CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 41, and this is probably a trigger point in getting that to happen. And then we have the match itself, which is stacked. I love Bloodline 2.0 with the addition of Bronson Reed. I love now the OG Bloodline team with the addition of CM Punk. You know, we just passed the 1 year anniversary of CM Punk returning to the company at Survivor Series 2023, which was bananas at that. WWE just put out a behind the scenes vlog for that return. You should definitely go check that out. It's amazing. And then, of course, the videos of Seth Rollins crashing out after Survivor Series last year with CM Punk at the top of the ramp and middle fingers getting thrown all over the place. That match is going to be amazing. I can't wait. But Survivor Series is this Saturday. I just don't think OG Bloodline is going to win this match. I have Bloodline 2.0 winning. There's just dysfunction across the OG Bloodline. I don't know if Paul is sticking around to help Roman. I don't know if Paul is leaving with Bloodline 2.0. I don't know if Paul is leaving with CM Punk. I just don't know. The line, I think it was a few weeks ago, with Roman Reigns saying that he's not a wise man yet, is playing in my mind. We'll see if that plays out. I know there was an interview with Paul saying that everything that you see on TV, everything that's said, plays a part and is taking into consideration with the story. And so we still have the Sammy Uso in the back throwing either the phone or the remote onto the couch. That's the thing. Jimmy winking at Paul and Jimmy head nodding Paul while Paul's winking at Jimmy. That could play a part. Who knows? It's going to be amazing. We'll see how it all goes. Other big news from wrestling this weekend was that we had the AEW pay-per-view Full Gear happen on Saturday. My thoughts? It was a very, very, very good pay-per-view. I'll overall rank it maybe a 7.9 to 8 point something out of 10. I enjoyed a bunch of the matches. I think Fletcher versus Ospreay was probably my match of the night. It was just an amazing match. It's unbelievable. What those two can do is just crazy. I enjoyed the main event myself with Orange Cassidy and Moxley. I thought the match was good. I thought all the chaos and craziness happening after the match was great, with basically every main eventer coming out, from Christian to Hangman to Switchblade. Then you had Darby at the end. I loved it all. Some people didn't. I don't care. I just thought it was great. It's great to put all these people together in that main event scene and see that they all have a case and all have a reason to be a part of it. So we'll see where that plays out. I'm going for a 6-man match, but we'll see. Mercedes and Statlander had a very good match. The only problem with the match was that I thought Statlander should have won with how the match was being set up, of her just going past and kicking out of everything that Mercedes had to throw at her. I thought we were getting a title change, but at the end, Mercedes won. But I really enjoyed that match myself. I like the Mina and Mariah May segment. Hopefully we get a match out of that. I thought that was really good, really smart by Mina. There was a couple matches I thought on the card, because the show was overall over 4 hours long, if you're including the pre-show. I thought there was a couple matches on the card that kind of could have been cut and added maybe to a main event of Dynamite. But other than that, I thought the show overall was great. With the MJF Roddy match, I think we need to get MJF off of this feud and into something else. I think Roderick, O'Reilly, and Cole by themselves is a more interesting story than including MJF in this. I think leaving those three to kind of figure out their lives is more interesting than just having them go after MJF. I think AEW should put MJF in a different feud and let those three figure things out. Quickly, I just want to say the Big Boom AJ match and all that brings with Justice and the Rizzler, it's not in my viewingship, but it did huge numbers on social media for AEW on X and Instagram. It's one of their most viewed videos all time. Just whatever videos and reels and they put out, it's millions and millions of views. I saw the report that for 2024, them being on Dynamite was the third most viewed X video for wrestling this year, only behind Joe Hendry in NXT and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 40. That crew did big numbers for AEW. It's very smart for AEW to bring them in. It was just a good time overall. If you enjoyed it, great. If you didn't, oh well, there's hours of wrestling that you can watch that I'm sure there was something for you. But shout out to them for putting numbers on AEW. Big numbers too. And after Full Gear, we got the announcement that the Continental Classic is happening. And they announced on Sunday, I think, who was competing in that. So I want to read everybody off first. In the Gold League, we have Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Ricochet, Brody King, Claudio, Juice Robinson for the Gold League. I do like Ospreay or Ricochet coming out of that section. And then for the Blue League, of course, we have Okada being the champion. Daniel Garcia, which is a little sketchy because he just won the TNT title, but he's in it. Kyle Fletcher's in it. Shelton Benjamin, which I'm really looking forward to, is in it. Mark Briscoe and the Beast Mortis is in it. They even, I think, today or last night announced a couple matches for this. We have Darby Allin versus Brody King happening on Dynamite. We have Mark Briscoe versus Shelton Benjamin happening on Dynamite. And then we have Ricochet versus Claudio happening on Dynamite this Wednesday. It should be a good tournament. I'm just going to throw the guess out there that we'll probably get Okada versus Ospreay in the finals. That's just my gut. But if it's Fletcher, if it's Shelton, I wouldn't be mad at it at all. It should be a great tournament. On Raw, they announced a Women's Intercontinental Championship and a tournament that will lead to crowning that champion, which is it's just huge, huge news. It goes with SmackDown announcing the Women's US Championship and that tournament already happening. For the I've been calling for this for a few years now, especially with how deep the women's roster is in WWE. When they announced in NXT the Women's North America Championship, I knew we were getting an IC title and a US title eventually. I'm so, so, so glad it's happening. For the Women's US Championship, I still have either, it's three really. I have Bailey, Naomi, or Chelsea Green winning that tournament and being crowned the first Women's US Champion. For the Intercontinental Championship tournament, we don't have the names for the tournament yet, but I'm going with Zelina from the start. She better be in this tournament. I have her winning. I don't like saying people deserve a shot, but I think Zelina deserves a title shot and this title to be the first women's Intercontinental Champion. But there's other people involved: Lyra, Dakota, Kyrie, Shayna Baszler. Like, the women's roster is really, really deep. Plus, we can have surprises. Charlotte's around, Becky's around. You just never know. Maybe an NXT call up. We just don't know. I'm just happy that we're getting mid-card titles for the women's division on both brands because the NXT women are kicking ass right now and they have two titles and they're continuing to kick ass. Hopefully, with a mid-card title on both brands, it will just elevate and we'll get more women's matches to go forward. A couple quick things with the women's WarGames match happening this Saturday. Jade Cargill was really injured and they did a injury angle with her on SmackDown, her being laid out on top of a car for some reason. Well, on the windshield of a car. I don't know if somebody threw her onto the windshield or if somebody hit her and she landed on the windshield. We'll see. We don't know who. I have a couple guesses, and my couple guesses are Bianca or Naomi. With Jade being injured, we needed a replacement. With that, we got some face-offs with Bianca and Rhea going face-to-face, which is really interesting because that is a WrestleMania match. We're just waiting on when, but that's a WrestleMania match ready to happen. We had Naomi, championing Bailey, Io wanting Kyrie in the match. Rhea did not care. But by the end of Raw, we kind of seen that it was going to be Bailey because Bailey helped Bianca beat Nia in the match in the main event of Raw. And then after Raw, they announced that Bailey is officially in the match for WarGames. So that whole storyline with Bailey and Bianca is crazy. The story with Bailey and Io is crazy. So I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of drama on that side. Plus, we have probably post Survivor Series going into the who done it angle of who injured Jade. I still have it being Bianca or Naomi. Jade's going to be out about 3 months. So if you're talking December, January, February, by February, we'll be getting into WrestleMania season. So if we're having plans on Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania, this is perfect timing actually to kind of bring that in. We'll see what happens with the Women's Tag Team Championships. They didn't announce anything yet, so we'll see if they just hold on to them or if she has to relinquish them. I'm guessing we'll probably see that on SmackDown this week. One other thing with the WarGames match is I had the idea last week, but I forgot to talk about it. Tiffany being in the match as Miss Money in the Bank and both women's champions being in the match also. Do we see Tiffany cash in her Money in the Bank either during the WarGames match or directly after the WarGames match and becoming a new champion? It's something I keep thinking about. That's never happened before. We've seen cash-ins at other places. We've seen the WrestleMania one, but we haven't seen one for WarGames. And I think this could be the perfect opportunity for Tiffany to cash in on either Liv or Nia. I think Nia makes more sense storyline-wise, but it could be either or. I think both WarGames matches is gonna be so interesting this week. I'm so looking forward to Survivor Series. So we have to talk about this next Monday night on Raw. The New Day's 10-year anniversary is happening, and from this past Monday on Raw, that segment with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston hit so goddamn hard, so hard. They let everything out in that segment. Everything, probably every troll of a fan has ever said, they said to each other, from Xavier not being good enough to Brock Lesnar beating Kofi for that title to Xavier claiming that it was him that took those chances, it's him that put that title on Kofi to begin with, to, you know, Kofi saying that Xavier squandered away the championship title opportunities to King of the Ring, all that Kofi was a Hall of Famer before the New Day and that Xavier asked him to be a part of that group. They just let everything go. I don't know how this 10-year anniversary thing is going to happen. I'm sure it's going to main event Raw. I'm hoping Big E comes out and kind of helps squash it. I don't think that's going to happen. I have one of them turning on the other, and maybe Big E is still involved. Like, my wish is that as they're arguing, Big E comes out, squashes it, and Big E becomes kind of the manager or quarterback, as the storyline has been saying, for the New Day and helping them get back on top. I think that's kind of the best case scenario. Well, the best case scenario is Big E getting back in the ring, but who knows what that is. But him at least being a part of this team again is probably best case scenario. Worst case scenario is one of them turning on the other and destroying the other, and maybe Big E. And the heel turn's coming. 10-year anniversary, 10 years of the New Day. Will it end on Monday? I hope not. I predicted, maybe I think back in August, that it would. But I really do hope it doesn't. I hope it's just a refocus on the New Day. We need new Raw Tag Team Champions, and I'm hoping the New Day is that. But we'll see, because it's not looking good. And that segment on Raw, the single camera shot from the ring after they lost through the ramp, through the backstage area, is well done. It just hurt. God damn. It really hurt. But it was great. So I'm like, next week is going to be bananas. We have, post Survivor Series plus the New Day stuff, plus the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament happening. Raw's already looking like it's going to be stacked next Monday. One last thing before we end this episode of Everything is Wrestling. ESPN put out their 30 under 30 wrestlers again this year. They did it for the first time last year. Interesting list. There's a lot of AEW talent, which makes sense. They do have a lot of young talent being at the head of the show. I want to just read off the top 5. We'll go 5 through 1 and see who's number 1. At number 5, Mariah May, 26 years old, the AEW Women's Champion, deserves to be on that list. At number 4, which is surprising because I thought she'll be higher on the list, is Rhea Ripley. Goes without saying. I thought she could probably be 2 or 3, but being number 4, 30 under 30, she's only 28, which is crazy. Number 3, and somebody that had a great year this past year, is Toni Storm, holding that women's title. Great storyline with Mariah May. Number 3 for Toni Storm, she's 29. At number 2, which is surprising too, MJF. He did take some time off. Last year they had him ranked number 1, but him being number 2, MJF is still MJF. Doesn't matter. Number 2 for the 30 under 30 list for ESPN. And number 1, which completely shocked me. I'm telling you. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of this name. But at number 1, Dominic Mysterio. Last year he was ranked number 5. He's been on TV every week. He does every match. Storyline wise, he went from being a heel to a bigger heel, turning on Rhea at SummerSlam. Thinking about it, he definitely deserves to be at the top of this list. Dominic Mysterio, future World Heavyweight Champion, future Hall of Famer, legend already. it makes sense that he's number one for this list. Roxanne being the youngest on that list at 23 is just unbelievable. She's already so good. Imagine her in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, how great she's gonna be, especially when she gets called up to main rosters. Roxanne's great. But if you want to check that list out, go search for it. It's somewhere online. Okay, that's the podcast for this week, episode 2 of Everything is Wrestling. My name is Nick. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are on YouTube. We are on Spotify. I'm working on getting it on Amazon and Apple Podcasts. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, it'll be available on both of those. So check the links in the comments and the descriptions. Follow me on all social medias at NotNick_S. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll probably be back soon with either Survivor Series preview or a Survivor Series review, because that PLE is going to be amazing. I'm out of here. Again, my name's Nick. Everything is wrestling.